Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us for our webinar on making the best of Small Business Saturday. I'm your host, Tom Ossa, and over the next 50 or 55 minutes, we'll be talking about ways that you can get your storefront ready for premium sales in the coming shopping season. And the landscape has obviously changed over the last several years. And we'll go over a whole bunch of things, but let's make some quick introductions first. First of all, thank you for being here. My name is Tom Ossa. I'm the CEO of RockWeb Systems. This is my second company. We've been in business starting in 2007, and we continue on to this day. I have a little joke saying it all works out if we don't eat or sleep. And you on the front lines of retail certainly know what that feels like. Sometimes it's a grind. Sometimes it's something where you just have to wake up in the morning and get to the store and make sure that everything is as best as possible. But there's a lot of really good information out there that can help you to really propel your business over the coming 5 to 7 years. Again, I am Tom Ossa, and I want to give a few thanks before we get into the formal part of our presentation. I very much want to thank the two chambers of commerce that I've worked with for nearly 10 years now, the North Rockland Chamber of Commerce, right in our backyard pretty much, and the Highlands Chamber of Commerce. Both of you, working with the organizations has been great. I've done it in various capacities, but Small Business Saturday every year, when we sign up for the program every year, it means a lot to me, and I'll explain why in a few moments, why it's really near and dear to my heart. And it's past just the idea of making the dollar. It's past that idea. It's way past that, and we'll talk about that. So thank you guys. Thank you for supporting my efforts, and I hope I'm supporting the Chamber's efforts, because I really have a heart for growing our business community, because that helps grow the community in general. All right, so a little bit about me. Give me a few minutes. I'll ramble on about myself, braggadocio style. So I graduated Ramapo College in 2006. My first company, I started RocklandWeb Design. Because I graduated with a history degree, and that basically translates to after you get out of college, you find out what you're good for. And it's like, hi, would you like some coffee with that? So it was a little bit of a reality kick to the head. It's like, all right, I got this great degree that I spent about 6 years working on, bachelor's over 6 years, took my time. And it's like, now what do I do? And all my friends were like, why are you going for a history degree? That doesn't even make any sense. But it actually helped me to do one really important thing, and I think that this is the give back that I could provide, is research. In between while I was at Ramapo College, I taught at Rockland BOCES as a technology instructor for 19 years, starting when I was 26 years old, all the way up until the age of 45. I just turned 46 a few weeks ago. So in 2007, after I did a short stint working for a web development firm it was just a really toxic environment, I was like, the heck with these guys. I'm going to start my own web firm. So we started RocklandWeb Design in 2007. We currently host about 175 websites across Rockland County. We've done websites for Columbia University. We have a customer out in Colorado. We've thankfully done very well over the years. I recently started my second company, and that's RockWeb Systems, and I'll talk about that another time. But that's it's a really cool thing that we're continuing to grow. I mentioned I'm an active member of 2 chambers of commerce, also a member of the Workforce Development Board of Rockland. That really translates to this: jobs, jobs, jobs. Basically employment for people that are looking for employment. Workforce Development Board of Rockland, and they are mandated by New York State to help to provide educational services, employment services, counseling services to help the employees get ready for the next level of employment. And I'm sure you see it in your retail establishment. Also Also a member of the North Rockland High School Academy of Finance, a really great team of kids that are learning about how to operate in the financial world. If you're looking for an intern for your establishment during the summertime, please contact me. I'll get you in touch with Timothy Ali. He's been running the program through North Rockland for the last 10 years. He's a fantastic guy, and he really cares. And I also did a book, How to Program Your Life. I did it in 2016. It's available on Amazon. If you send me a private message, I'll shoot you a digital copy of it. If you purchase it off of Amazon, 20% of the proceeds goes to a charity that is very near and dear to my heart, and that's World Vision. And they've helped impoverished children and families across the world since 1950 to help to bring people out of poverty through a variety of programs across the world. Great organization. All right. So, and there's a little bit more of a deeper thread here. And this is where I mentioned what I had talked about before, is like that, you know, retail is very near and dear to my heart. My connection with the chambers of commerce are very near and dear to my heart. And what it comes down to is this. Dramatic pause. This is a person that's working on his bicycle. Doesn't look like the most fantastic bicycle. It looks like it needs some work, and it might have been out in the weather, and you know it's been knocked up around a little bit. So why does this mean a lot to me? Well, this is a stock photo, but this is essentially me from the age of 7 up until probably around 22 or 23 years old, a hair up, a hair down. But basically, just another quick backstory is I was in retail for a very long time before I got into business for myself. I was working at my grandfather's bicycle store since I was 7 years old. You know, Italian family, maybe cheap labor or whatever. But my grandfather, after I finished school every day, my grandmother would pick me up from Immaculate Conception Grammar School in Stony Point, bring me over to the bike store in West Haverstraw. You might know it better by Rosie's Cafe. It's also the location for North Rockland Beverage at the moment. But I was there for a considerable amount of time after school, doing one of two things: either playing video games or fixing up bicycles. And over the years, and as time went on, it turned out that as my grandfather, who was in business for 50 years, he started to, as the course of time is inevitable, slow down and turned the bike store over to me and my mom. Now, you remember I mentioned to you that I don't have a business degree. This is, history and everything like that. But I learned firsthand, and this is a testimonial to all of you in retail, how tough it is to really get your product and your service and your customer relations and all those things as right as possible so that you can generate more floor traffic. And we're going to talk about that over the coming 45 minutes. Pause for coffee, please. All right. So that's my background. And I think that channeled into, because it was a family business, trying to work my way out from there in order to help people to work on their own businesses in a better manner. And one of the mottos that we have around here, and I'll just show this to you really quick, is build better business. You'll see this right here, build business better. We want to try to do put our best foot forward to make sure that the businesses that we work with really are thriving 100%. And so let's go back to our presentation. We need retail. Bottom line. It's been said over and over and over in our chambers of commerce, the North Rockland Chamber of Commerce, the Highlands Chamber of Commerce, and I just got off of a meeting at 12 o'clock with several other chambers of commerce. We need retail. You guys were on the front lines for the last 2 years, and now you should find ways of making it, I think a little bit easier over the course of time to be able to benefit from all the different things that have happened over the last 2 years in terms of how you structure your store, how you set up so that your best foot is put forward for your customers, and also being able to provide stellar customer service so that those customers will continue to come back more and more and more. And from a Chamber of Commerce perspective, the crux of this program, the thing that's going to really boost your sales, is connecting with the American Express Small Business Saturday program. Now, as a disclaimer, I am not benefiting from this whatsoever. It's not like Amex just says, hey, here's like a couple of bucks. And, again, this comes directly from my origins from 7 years old on, the importance of developing really good retail policies and setting up your store so that you can put your best foot forward. All right. Enough inspiration. Let's get down into the nitty-gritty details, and then I will open this up for questions and answers in a little bit. This is what we're going to cover today. And I'm going to actually bring up a whole bunch of web links as well. And I'm in text, so it's going to be like, just write them in, and then you're going to see the stuff on the screen where you're going to benefit. One thing that I would ask is, while I'm going through the presentation, I really do ask that if you have any questions, please, at the bottom of the screen here, please go into the Q&A section and type in any question that you might have. And really, I'll probably try to pause toward the very end and just answer questions here and there. If there's like a really large number of questions about a particular item, I'll try to answer that on the fly. All right, so down below, you should see the Q&A section. Please click on that, and we'll go forward. All right. So the three items that we're going to talk about is getting your store ready, okay? And let's consider the jump-off point to be Small Business Saturday, which is November 27th, this Saturday. Second is to put your best foot forward. I'll explain that in a little while. And the third is customer service. All right, so let me give you a quick analogy. And I mentioned to you before that I've been an instructor at RocklandWeb for about 19 years. I took a break in the middle of last year for obvious reasons. But I'm also an avid reader. All right. So when we had a problem at the bike store, and there was a lot, all right, let me tell you something. Working on bicycles is not a moneymaker. There's only a few really, really good companies in Rockland that can do it. Piermont Cycle Shop, to name one. They're one of the top 100 bicycle stores in all of the United States. It's amazing. All right. But there is a common thread as to best practices for any retail establishment. So I'm going to give you a few books. This is the source of the material that I'm really conveying. All right. And it's not that just I'm reading it. It's that I've practiced it, not just over at my family's bike store. There was a lot of trial and error there, and we could have done things better. But experience is the best teacher. And as time went on, I took those practices and I put it into our web design company so that we can build better products for our customers. So here's a couple of the books that I recommend to you. And just immerse yourself in it. Don't worry about getting every last detail. You're not. I'm not. Nobody is. All right. This is a matter of just getting yourself immersed in the information so that some little nugget of wisdom just comes through and says, oh my goodness, that totally makes sense. And we're going to implement that in our retail store. Here's a few of the books. High Tech, High Touch Customer Service by Micah Solomon. I've spoken with the gentleman. After reading the book, I contacted him. This is a fantastic, fantastic individual that wrote this book. He basically talks about how you can really be good at customer service, but you can implement those technologies probably that you have a lot of in the store already. Most of you have like a touch screen monitor, a point of sale system, a website, a marketing program, things like that. But this is a really good overview of all the things that you should really know as time goes on. This is another one. This is called Free, Perfect, and Now. Now, Free, Perfect, and Now basically goes over the three things that your customers always are going to expect from your company, your product, your service, You. All right. And the three things are, one is they want it as low cost as possible. They want it as exquisite as possible. No problems with it. Nothing's going to blow up on it. But also it looks great. It feels great to work with. It's just a seamless product or service that when the customer pushes a button, it just happens for them. And the final thing is now. All right. And now is I need this thing right now. All right. And in a society that's become much more instantaneous and instant gratification, by my estimation, I think that third one is the item that is really the tricky part, because, you know, we're all trying to grow our businesses. The big box stores, such as Walmart, Target, and so on and so forth, they have this down to a science because they've been doing product testing and everything. So don't expect that you're going to get now starting on Saturday, but certainly there are ways that you can compete on the other two elements, and we'll talk about that. I'm going to save this for later, but this is called Organize Yourself. I'll explain that in a little bit. If you really want to get trippy about it and you really want to go for the gusto and immerse yourself in the information that will help your store to gain more sales from a techie perspective, Bill Gates, Business at the Speed of Thought, using a digital nervous system. This is the core of our operations at RockWeb Systems. It's basically having the information at your fingertips. And the number one rule of this book is that information should only be touched by the person that needs it once. If you're doing it over that, if you're handing people paper or any sort of thing that's going to impede the process of customer service, product placement, having a nice storefront, keep working on it. This is a great book. It's very dense though. He's not a very good writer, just between you and me. He's like very cerebral, but he kind of like has these run-on sentences, so it's like whatever. But you know, check it out. There's another book he did called The Road Ahead. So there's that. So there's a few others. If you are more of a logically oriented person and trying to look at the entire landscape, trying to prevent any mistakes that happen in your process, I recommend this book. It's called The Logic of Failure. Again, it is a very dense book, but at the same time, it really goes over things where, let's say, for instance, you have a very well-meaning product or service, but there was just some little blip along the process of creating that item that at the end of the road caused a problem. Example, there was a railroad that was supposed to be put through a town, and let's just say that they didn't plan where the railroad goes the right way, and it was just like an engineering error, and obviously something bad happened, so we don't want that. Excellent book. Not the most positive book, but we need to look at both sides of things, right? Rework, all right? We'll talk about this too, but this is basically just taking your entire business model and reworking it in a way that is very much, let's just say, aligned with your typical target customer base. You know, the standard one these days, and it changes over the course of time, is the typical millennial retail consumer. So, you know, that is a consideration. You want to think about the person's age demographics. Where are they coming from? How much are they willing to spend? What are their needs? And in the short term, what are their needs during the holiday season? All right. What sort of gifts are they looking for? It's a little bit tighter with shipping right now. All right. Do they need instant gratification where they can come into your store and purchase something and not worry about having the item shipped from Amazon and, you know, maybe it might not show up at the right time? So a lot of things to consider. I definitely recommend this book. And the final one, and this is another core book, is by Stephen Covey. It's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. This is something that talks about how you can have a 7-part plan for really reworking yourself. okay? And aside from the storefront, aside from all the operations that you have within the store, because there's always going to be problems that happen. You know, you ever feel like you're getting to the store in the morning and you're just putting out fires, and it's like, you know, where the heck did the last 8 to 10 hours go? I had many days like that at the bike store. Actually, some of my favorite memories is when the day was over and I was just like, oh, I'm done, thank goodness. And I went outside, you know, just cracked open a Bud Light and just watched the traffic go by, because it was that's the way I felt at the end of the day. But thankfully, things got better. And I want the same for you. I want the same for you. If you're listening to this, I want the same for you. All right, so check out this book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. All right, let's go back to the presentation and let's get into the nitty-gritty of all of those 3 steps. Okay, so the first we're going to talk about is getting your store ready. All right, let's do a little bit of a deep dive into this. All right, and again, you know, if you have any questions in between, just please drop them into the Q&A down below, and I'll try to answer them as best as possible. All right, getting your store ready. There's a reason why I put up the Apple store as an example. All right, and it really comes from, yes, another book. If you're familiar with the late, great Steve Jobs, Steve was, let's just say, very obsessive compulsive with product development. If you read his autobiography, which was done by Walter Isaacson before he passed away, I think in 2013 or 14, I forget the exact year, but basically it chronicles a person that was very tech savvy, a little nuts, definitely was an acid head, a little bit. But, you know, as things go in certain circles, you know, you basically pick up a lot of information and then it just gets hardwired through a combination of external and internal forces. So this man was hardwired with a little bit of quirky habits, but also a need for perfection in the product and or services that he was offering. So if you look at the Apple Store, and really, you know, this is obviously done through corporate stages and such, but if you think of Steve as starting this whole process, before he got fired in the late 90s, early 2000s, he was trying to create as perfect of an impression on all the products or services that he could possibly do. And he got to the point where he was basically, you know, people didn't like him. He had a certain vision, but that doesn't necessarily that people liked him, because everybody's got their own vision, right? In the end, it didn't matter, all right, because he came back stronger than ever. And because he came back stronger than ever, he felt confident that he can convey some other ideas that he had about products. And you remember the first one that came out, I think it was in 2006 or 7, which was the iPhone. It was a monumental shift forward. And look, not that he had all the technology information up here. He, on his second round back, he had to work with a lot of people in order to develop it. So he became a little bit of a kinder, gentler version of himself. But at the same point, he still had that eye toward creating perfection. Now, this is something that you can, in certain ways, you can create a sense of your product and service or service is as perfect as possible. We go back to free, perfect, and now, okay? You may not be able to compete on price, okay? The Walmart and Targets are probably going to have the upper hand on you in terms of the item being as low cost as possible that you have in your store. They might or might not have inventory. And the thing that really is the X factor here is that shipping is a problem this year. So they may not have as much inventory, okay? But you can create that impression, that illusion, if you will, of a good quality storefront, so that when they come into the store, then they're going to have a bit of, as we say in our web design industry, the wow factor. You don't want just your website to pop. You want your store to pop. You want it to be clean. You want it to have all the stuff that's unnecessary and takes people away from the buying experience of what they're looking to purchase. You want all that stuff out of there, all right? And you want the items that are really going to sell, you want those things to be front and center, if you will, all right? So some quick steps for the first part of this, getting your store ready. Do a deep cleaning of your store, all right? Now, Small Business Saturday is on, well, it's on Saturday. So you got a few days, you know, it's Wednesday, we got Thanksgiving tomorrow. Obviously, none of us should ever have to work on Thanksgiving. I hope you don't have to, but you know, Friday, because most of the people that are going to shop on Friday, inevitably as the, and I'm sorry, mindless consumer, okay, they're gonna go and they're going to shop at Walmart, Target, and so on and so forth, all right? And it's inevitable, and let's face it, some of us do it too. It's like we need things and so on and so forth, all right? So understand your market, okay? If they're away and they're not in your store, that is the prime time for you to set up shop the right way. And the first step is to clean it. Sometimes over the years, I've had trouble trying to keep a really clean environment. I've been able to do that a lot better over the last 2.5 years, and it's really helped to propel my organizational skills better. It's not just about the customer. It's also about you. How do you feel in the working environment? I know when I was over at my family's bike store, it was a little bit of a drag down effect, working on dirty bikes every single day. It was a necessity because this is what we needed to do for our customers. You know, so we'd get a repair for a Huffy or a Murray bike, and we'd work on it. And by the time we were done with every single one of those bikes, our hands were pretty much like pitch black from like dirty grease. It was disgusting. And I hated it. And, you know, nothing against my grandfather. I mean, you know, he did very well for 50 years before the market changed, but that just was not my path. Your path is in the store in which you are located right now. You could have a gaming store for kids to be able to play card games after school. You could have an appliance business. And if you know a company that is a small business that has an appliance store, please let me know, because we are in the we're in the need of purchasing a new oven, because the one that we purchased from Home Depot, I hope they don't hope they don't sue me, but we purchased a brand new stove from Home Depot. We just moved, and we came back from a small getaway. Whole house was full of gas. Not good. We called Orange and Rockland, and they came over and they said, well, you have a gas leak. I was like, well, thank you very much. We kind of knew that already. We appreciate it. And then Home Depot shows up and they find out that the stove is the thing that's really leaking gas. So they had to take it away. They shut off the gas. And now we're in need of a stove. And if there's an appliance store that has that outside of Home Depot and outside of Lowe's, please send me an instant message on that. Getting your store ready for any type of customer within your target demographic is so, so important. Clean it, get a professional service to come in to work on it. I have a few recommendations for some local commercial cleaning. And again, we're not benefiting a dime from any recommendations that we make. But, you know, recommendations for cleaning services in, for instance, North Rockland, Highland Falls, that area. All right, the second part of this. So you clean it. Next part, get rid of everything that is not going to sell. Put it in a box, dump it, put it in storage, put it in the back room so that nobody sees it. Get it out of there. All right, and I'm really staunch on this point. Like I said, My organization has gotten a little bit more streamlined, and it's a difference between night and day. Again, this is not just about your customer, but also about you, how you operate feng shui within your own store that you see probably 5 to 7 times a week for 8 to 10 hours. Wouldn't it make sense to be in a really good, conducive environment? And look, this happens over the course of time. It's like you get more products and services, and it's like, you know, whatever. But they get scattered in the store. It happened with us. The bike store, we'd have our best bike up on the stand. It was a Titan bike, a mountain bike, and it was brushed blue aluminum. I love that color. And I kept it up there for years. I wouldn't even sell the darn thing. You know, the way that my family typically operated was they got all these like little things, like, you know, here's a little cubby for the gears, and a little area for the bolts, and an area for the tires, and an area for the spokes, and this and that. And it was just absolutely overwhelming. So my suggestion to you is get rid of all the things that will not sell. Instinctively, you know what sells, and you probably have data to support this. If you're using a point of sale system and you have the data, all right, figure out what your best selling items are. There's a company that I got just kind of like a mailing one day. It's called GW Wright and Associates. Now they're in a completely different business line, but they sent off a free guide that basically talks about how to provide really good products for your company. And one of the things that was important is putting those best products forward. The items that are going to sell the most and the items that are going to sell the best. All right. So you want to make sure that you have those items in front, prominently displayed, without too much stuff around it. And we'll get into that in the step 2, but you know, just something to remember, GW Wright Associates. All right. And then the final thing is planning it. All right. So planning it really comes down to having all the items around the product or service that you're going to benefit from. And here, I actually have something from Small Business Saturday. Hang on 1 minute. Keep on worrying that I'm sharing the wrong screen here. So I apologize. I have 2 screens. So if I'm sharing the wrong screen at any point, please hang on a minute and I'll realize. Okay, so the Small Business Saturday program right over here. Okay. And as I mentioned, the North Rockland and the Highlands Chamber of Commerce, as well as many different chambers of commerce across Rockland County, have signed up for this Small Business Saturday program as neighborhood champions. We used to be called ambassadors, now we're champions. Yay. And on here, and you can go to it, you just basically go to americanexpress.com/US/small business. Or I think you could just type in, you just Google Small Business Saturday, and boom, it shows up. Okay, so click on the tab for small business owners. And if you scroll down, there's a whole bunch of really, really great products and, stickers and promotional items that you can purchase, not even purchase, I'm sorry. Let me back up. All this stuff is free. All of it's free. American Express does this every year. All of this material is free. Here's an example of some of the materials that you could get for free, mind you, that you could put as stickers and other materials in your store. All right. So imagine being able to put this huge banner. It's a huge, like, I think it's like a 4x4 poster that you could put right in your storefront window. You got this one, 'Tis the Season to Celebrate with Your Community. The holidays are here. Let's make them special together. All right. And a variety of other components that you can simply customize with your logo and your storefront information. And you can simply print them, or you can share them on social media. In this area, the most important social media is the North Rockland Community Facebook group and the Highlands Community group Both have thousands and thousands of members. That is the #1 place where I personally recommend that you can easily put Small Business Saturday components on. And remember, your chambers of commerce are here to support that this year and every year. So again, do a Google search for Small Business Saturday. You'll end up on the American Express Small Business Saturday website. And again, there is a plethora, I love using that word, of tools that you can use. You can customize with your logo and your information, and then just share, share, share. We'll talk about promoting in a little while. Okay, so getting your store ready. Clean it, purge it, and plan it. Step 2, put your best foot forward. I mentioned this before, but I had this really cool bicycle up in our family storefront window. I think it was fantastic. It had a very stark color to it, like brushed blue aluminum. It caught people's eye. It really did. So when people came in, I tried as best as possible to keep the dirty bicycles in the back and our best foot forward. And that came in the form of brand new bicycles. All right. Now I should clarify this. This doesn't necessarily be the product where you make the most money. All right. This is your best selling product. I'll give you an offbeat example. All right. Has anybody seen The Wolf of Wall Street? Okay. It's a fun movie. I don't endorse the way that some of the people in that movie acted, but they did have an interesting concept at the early part of the movie. So just a quick background, Leonardo DiCaprio plays a stockbroker that basically ends up becoming like, a multi-gajillionaire and so on. And he talks about different sales practices. And one of the things that he did early on was he started with blue chip stocks. The premium stocks. When he's on the phone with someone or he's talking with someone, customer service, trying to make them a customer, okay? He started off with the thing that really compelled people to say, you know what? This is a safe bet. I'm going to buy this stock from you, all right? And then afterwards, then his firm would offer other different types of stocks. Now, this is where it goes off the rails a little bit. You want to offer good quality products across the board. He offered very subpar services, and that's why he ended up going to jail. So that's that. But the point is that you start off with a really good premium product, okay, and then as an add-on, sell other products that may have a higher profit margin to them, okay. Again, still a good product or service, but has a higher profit margin that you're going to benefit from over the course of time. And just as a side note, just for your own personal information, we actually do have a spreadsheet that we use courtesy of our business advisor, Irene Gutman. She is absolutely fantastic at what she does. But this is a spreadsheet that helps us to identify the different products and services that help us create that market dominating position. All right. And it's a mix of good quality services. Okay. But then also things that are going to increase our profit margin as a business over time. You want to look at your same product matrix the same way. You want to put your best foot forward, all right? And then also add on, hey, do you need this? Do you need that? And so on and so forth, all right? So again, putting your best foot forward. What are the components of putting your best foot forward? Well, I'm glad you asked. And listen, I'm sorry if I'm like a little obnoxious or if I just like, when you're in business for 15 years and also working from the age of 7 on, and I don't regret it at all, but you end up with like, this 150,000 mile stare. And, it's like on Shark Tank, you see the end of the road and you try to find ways of making it as good as possible. So that's what I'm here for. If I'm a little obnoxious, I'm sorry. I promise you, I mean no harm. I mean no harm. But bottom line is if you follow these steps, you will succeed. Not just on Small Business Saturday, dramatic pause, but all throughout the year, you will succeed. Okay, so the 3 things. Best product. Again, put your best product in the front of the store, people. Don't put it in the back. Don't be shy about it. Don't like, oh, well, we have this other thing that we might be able to help you with and so on. No, put it in the front of the store, the place where it will be easily seen the moment that somebody walks through the store. And again, in terms of creating the store, making it ready, the other thing that's really going to help to set that product apart is that you're going to clean your store. You're going to make sure that it looks as best as possible so that when that product shows up, it's going to stand out for the customer in brushed aluminum or anything else that you put in front. And it just has to be one product. It doesn't have to be 50, just one. Okay. Now, the other part of this is providing the info. Okay. Now, this is a little bit trickier, and this is where information comes into play. You want to make sure that you have as much detail as possible about that product and service. A little bit more about my journey through the business world. In between when I was working for my grandfather's bike store and a little bit before I settled in on teaching while I was going through college, I also worked for a variety of other companies. I worked for Samsondale Furniture for a long time, located in West Haverstraw. Alan Schulman was the owner, may he rest in peace, but he was a great guy, and I really learned a lot about merchandising. I also worked for a short stint for Rockland Lincoln Mercury, located in West Nyack. I can't say I was that successful as being a salesman. I was just talking with Irene this morning after a networking meeting, and I was saying to her, it was like, I wasn't really a good closer, but thankfully I had the information about the product or service, the car, the Mercury Cougar, the Lincoln Navigator. Lincoln Navigator was a great car, oh my goodness. But I knew about the ins and outs of that car. When I walked someone up to the car to look at, I wasn't just like, well, this is an awesome car. You want to buy it? I mean, who's going to buy it? You tell them, hey, this is a really nice, well, you don't even tell them it's nice. You just be like, look, this car has X number of horsepower, and ask them questions. Ask them what they're looking for. Like, what sort of family are you traveling around with? Do you have, how many family members? Are you going to be using this car for business? Are you going to be using it for general recreation? How far do you plan to travel, and so on? But behind that, everything that you are getting as answers from the customer will help you to filter out all the information that you know about that product and only zone in on the most compelling things that causes the person to make it an inevitable thing that they're going to purchase the product or service from you. Have the information ready. And again, going back to 2 books that I recommend out of the mix to supplement that. On one end, you have Micah Solomon's High-Tech, High-Touch Customer Service, being ready as a customer service representative, but also Bill Gates's Business at the Speed of Thought. Certainly employ those measures there. Let's go back. All right, so best product, provide information, and of course, the third is have stock. This is kind of a little bit late in the game. When we purchase products from our wholesaler at the bike store, we had a great supplier. I think it was J&B Wholesalers, and they were located in New Jersey. Also G. Joannou Cycles, and we were able to get things overnight. Again, that was the warehouse and local. So if there's any time left to be able to order today your best product or service, and if you can afford it, and listen, guys, I know all of you here, it's not like we're all walking around like we got a fat wallet 24/7. Retail's tough, I know. Okay, so you do what you can to budget. You make your calculations, and you got to take a little bit of risk, okay? But make sure that you get your best products that hopefully from data, that are going to sell throughout the holiday season. That's why we call about putting yourself in the black again, really getting the good products and services. Okay, continuing forward. All right, so have stock, have the stuff ready. Okay, so so far we've talked about getting your store ready, cleaning it, putting your best foot forward. All right, and that's in the form of the best product or service that you can possibly have. And finally, customer service. All right, customer service is a pain in the ass. It just is. All right, and this is the part of retail that I don't miss. I'm sorry. Hey, if you can do it, great. But the problem is customer service involves a little bit of a sense of vulnerability. Putting yourself in the shoes of the end consumer and really just trying to meet their needs the way that they are. Now, let's face it, all right? And if the consumer hears this later on and says that I'm a terrible, terrible person, okay. Down the road in West Haverstraw, there is a Carvel ice cream store that has been there for approximately 30, 35 years. I'm 46 now, so I mean, it was there, oh my goodness, when I was 7 or 8 years old. And I go there every Wednesday. Wednesday is a habit. And I very much remember the sign that was in the window. Pat Bilardo had this actually in the back of the store. And it said, rule number 1, the customer is always right. Rule number 2, if the customer is wrong, see rule number 1. All right? But let's face it, okay? Sometimes the customer is a dipshit, is absolutely irrational, annoying, frustrating, might actually prevent other customers from walking into the store because of his or her presence there. I mean that. And I'll give you another example from the bike store. We had this one guy that would come in and talk with my grandfather, talk his ear off about terrible, terrible things. It's like, the world is in disarray and misery and we need to go back to whatever. I used to want to punch him, but we didn't, all right? We accepted it. That's what you guys are dealing with. You're not just dealing with the product or service. You're not just dealing with these are the capabilities of the item. This is how much the price is. You're dealing with all the emotions, all of the frustrations of that customer. In a much more rational fashion, I started to lose my cool when we were trying to find the solution to getting that oven, the one that almost blew up in our house from that company that I mentioned, Home Depot. Sorry, it almost blew up. But that was another, actually, just to protect myself legally, it wasn't Home Depot's brand. It was another brand of oven that was sold in Home Depot. So that should make it a little bit more across the board. But, I was frustrated and they didn't even know where our refunds was. So it took a long time. That's the sort of thing that you're dealing with the customer. So how do you counteract that? How are you able to provide good customer service in the face of very, very frustrating, really frustrating individuals sometimes? All right. Well, there's an old saying in teaching, teach to the middle. All right. The teaching to the middle is ultimately going to help you to refine your target customer. Okay. When we started our business, we kind of cast a wide net. We're like, we'll help you with this, we'll help you with that, and so on. We'll design any sort of website, we'll do any sort of graphic design project, and so on. And over the course of time, we realized there were certain things that just weren't working. There were certain customers that were essentially not performing the way that we want them to. And that's part of it, okay? Because it's a give and take. We have an internal spreadsheet, and I'm just going to flash this really quick for the camera and then just move on. We have an internal spreadsheet that identifies our best customer. I would encourage you very much to come up with a database of your best customers, all right? And then sell to them. offer your products and services to them first. Now, again, a little late in the game for that. Right now, you're casting a wide net on Small Business Saturday. But take notes. Figure out of all the customers and take a sampling of 10. So if you have 10 customers that walk through the store, you should have their name, phone number, email address, and generally were they a good customer, a bad customer. It's only a few moments of their time. And then after everything's done, come back and figure out who was my best customer and how can I get more customers like that. By the way, if you'd like a way of doing that, my colleague Irene Gutman is absolutely fantastic at that, so I highly recommend her services. In 45 minutes, she will help you to identify your target customer 100%. And contact me if you need any details on that. Some nitty gritty, okay? Friendly. Again, yes, absolutely. We can help you with this, that, and the other. And it just goes back to rule number one. It's like the customer is always right. Okay. There's a limit. If the customer is being abusive to you, you should certainly say, listen, maybe this isn't the right fit. I recommend, and have 3 places, even your competitors, like, we don't have that. I'm sorry. Maybe XYZ company has it. Send them to Target, But believe me, in your own community, there's a variety of small business friendly customers that are looking to shop small on Saturday and all throughout the holiday season. All right, so you can really position yourself well for those customers. Okay, and 2 more items, and we're almost at the 3 o'clock mark, so we'll end our Facebook component. We're going to come off of Facebook and just focus in on the people in the session that might have some questions because I don't want to talk about industry issues that you might have. All right, the second part is helpful. All right, and really this is more just about being a robot. Helpful is like, I remember, again, I always relate this back to the bike store, and a lot of memories come up when there were several customers in the store at once. I ended up in web development there's a certain level of logic that's associated with that. So in my early years, it was whoever customer came in first will help you fully and to the best of our ability, and then the next person, and then the next person, and the next person. We also, especially on Saturdays, had help. It wasn't just me, thank God. It was my mom. And we had 1 or 2 customer service representatives that were helping out as well. So the first person at the checkout counter, they would be helping the individual that was checking out. The second person would be the one that was walking them through the store, showing them different things, helping them out with their questions and answers. And if possible, if you had a third person, in this case, that was me and my mom, we were the ones that were ready to close and help with the nitty-gritty details of getting them to the cash register, okay? And that really just comes down to being helpful. You want to have that infrastructure in place so that you can be helpful. I'd say one of the things that you can do to be ready for Small Business Saturday is consider picking up a little bit of extra help. Now, I know there's a workforce shortage right now, okay? There's 2 organizations located in Rockland County that can help you with this. The most important one is Rockland Works. I'm going to show you their website right now. RocklandWorks.org is a fantastic organization, and it's subsidized and assisted by the Workforce Development Board of Rockland County. I mentioned before that I work with that organization a lot. I'm a board member. I'll just show you them right now. RocklandWork.com. It's .org. Scared me for a minute. All right, so we're going to bring up RocklandWork.org. Okay, and they provide the guidance and the resources and investments in various sectors to help increase employment in Rockland. So if you contact Rockland Works at 845-770-2900, you could talk with them about your needs. And again, it's run by Rockland BOCES, just so you know. You could talk with them about your needs, and they might be able to help you to find a few individuals to help you in your store. gonna give you another little piece of advice. All right, I know you want to go, like moderate cost and everything. Don't worry about giving $15 an hour versus $12.50 or $13. 15's fine. In all seriousness, that's the standard for retail. McDonald's in West Haverstraw, they got this big sign there that says hiring at $15 an hour. Just do $15 an hour starting point at this point. Seriously. Okay, and then the final thing in this whole matrix in customer service is techie. All right, you want to get techie. How do you do that? Well, essentially, you bring in devices, point of sale systems, laptops, other materials that are going to help your business to be better. There's no time for point of sale, but there is time for, maybe getting a device in the store, like a laptop or something. Being ready with your tablet or your phone to provide information about any product or service as quickly as possible. QR code. You can generate QR codes and put them directly in front of the store with a link to that best-selling product. Very easy to generate, and you can just do a Google search. If you need help with that, contact RocklandWeb, and we'll help you with that. But go techie. We know that the landscape has changed. We know that we have to be safe and careful. We have to wear our masks. But we also have to provide stellar customer service in order to really benefit from razor thin profit margins that you deal with on a daily basis. Razor thin, I know this, I know. For that $300 bicycle that we had in the window, we made like 50 bucks. Bicycle was $225 to $250 with shipping. We made $50 on that damn thing, okay? But you know what we got in return? We got a thankful customer. We got an individual that wanted to continue to do business with us. Imagine if they had Google reviews back then. And we got the opportunity to offer them more items to purchase, and we could sell more things to them. Again, items that increased our profit margin, but you got to put your best foot forward. And in order to do that, you have to clean your store. You have to purge it of all the stuff that is not going to be necessary for the purpose of your company, your family business, your organization, your livelihood. Get rid of all the other stuff, put your best product forward, and provide stellar customer service. We're going to turn this over to a question and answer session momentarily. I will be coming off of Facebook because, again, these are individual questions that I don't want to, I don't want to impede your progress or anything. Last thing before we go to questions and answers, RocklandShopping.com. This is our second year. Last year we did an expo from December 5th to December 9th. I'll just show you this real quick, RocklandShopping.com. All right. If you would like to be on our database for a variety of different products or services that we offer within RocklandShopping.com, and by the way, this goes out to 75,000 Facebook users across Rockland County. Like I mentioned, I have a web development firm that we've been doing search engine optimization and social media for the last 13 years. First year we didn't do any. Last 13 years, okay? So we've developed really deep ties with all of the Facebook groups that really, in my opinion, matter throughout Rockland County, okay? If you're interested in being a vendor, go to RocklandShopping.com, and basically all we're going to do is we're going to get some essential information from you. Your name, your company, your address. Tell us about your best product or service, all right? And we'll put it in the directory with a price associated with it and link to your website, your Google business page, whichever you prefer, or even, if you have, an Etsy store or an eBay store, home-based businesses, welcome to come. It's a simple $39.95 to be listed for an entire month on RocklandShopping.com. And another little secret weapon that we talked about at the beginning of this is going to go out via Rockland News. And it's our premier platform through RocklandWeb. We're going to put this into one of the sections, probably like the retail section of Rockland News, and we're going to put it out to 75,000 individuals across the various Facebook communities in Rockland. All right, and customers will be able to sort exactly what they're looking for, the price point that they're looking for, okay, and where they can find your store, the phone number and a website, and help you to get more sales. Retail is no longer what we do as a company, but it always remains near and dear to our hearts because of our roots. Starting at 7 years old, being able to fix that bicycle for the person, and it wasn't all bad. There's some really good moments where father comes in with his son, and he's like, he's looking to take his kid to the park on a Saturday and just bike around with the family, Rockland Lake style or Peck's Pond, and we hustled to really get those things done as quickly as possible so that they can enjoy the Saturday or the Sunday afternoon with their family. And I'd like to think that I did right by my grandfather and my family by staying for so long. It turned out to not be my path, and that's okay. But make no mistake, the two companies that we started, as well as the chambers of commerce that we work with, the book, all of our endeavors, it comes with that knowledge of building better business. All right, and I hope you'll join us on the journey. You can connect with us through Rockland Shopping. And again, my name is Tom Ossa, founder of RocklandWeb and RockWeb Systems. If you have any questions for me, please do feel free to contact us at www.rocklandweb.com, and I'll just put that on the screen momentarily. All right, so you can reach us at rocklandweb.com. Fill out the contact form. You can contact us at 845-877-7333. Extension 1 for tech support. So, in conclusion, I hope you have a great Small Business Saturday. There's various events that are happening with your local Chamber of Commerce. Connect with the North Rockland Chamber of Commerce. Connect with the Highlands Chamber of Commerce. Make it a reality for your store. They will come by, they'll drop off materials for you, and each Chamber of Commerce has their own program to incentivize more customers to walk through your front door, not just on Small Business Saturday, but all throughout the holiday season. We're going to come off of Facebook. For those of you that were listening on the live stream, thank you for being a part of this. I hope it's been beneficial. There will be a replay of this, and feel free to connect with us at rocklandweb.com. We'll pause for some questions right now. Okay, so the first question I have here is, what was the name of the book from Bill Gates? Thank you for asking that, because it's this one. It's Bill Gates, The Business at the Speed of Thought. It's a dense book. It's really dense. I'll give you an example. Let me just read a little bit of it. All right. Now this is one sentence. This is Bill Gates in 1990 something. Beyond serving as a repository for project documents and information on project activities, Journey incorporates the business rules that guide Nabisco's new product development efforts, which is how the company defines financial success, what types of jobs and volumes the company's bakeries are set up to handle, what scores a product has to achieve to consumer test, what manufacturing costs should be. That was one sentence. And it's like it's almost like a paragraph long. So, I forced myself to read this. And the reason why is because, this is a person that's obviously done pretty well for himself, both as a company, as well as, just keeping things organized toward the vision that he wanted to put forth. He's had a few personal setbacks. I don't go into that. This is about business. So, yeah, it's business at the speed of thought. Check it out. Okay. Got another question. Thank you for the questions about the books. I appreciate that. Somebody mentioned about the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. All right. So what is it? The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People is 1, be proactive. Basically, take responsibility for your actions. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're responsible for everything in the world or the universe, but anything that you did, remember, it starts with you. Okay. If you're getting to your retail establishment at 10:30, okay, and the doors are supposed to open at 10, shame on you. If you're closing early when your advertised store hours, let's say you're supposed to close at 6 and you close at 5:30, shame on you. You're not gonna like me, but if you got kids in school that they're basically, you got to pick them up at a certain time, and I'll be a little gentle on this because I'm speaking as a person that doesn't have kids at the moment. One day, God willing. You gotta have your storefront open at all times. You gotta be ready for the customers. So that's absolutely a rule. Proactive. Other things: begin with the end in mind. Plan out in advance. We talked about that in step 1. First things first. Prioritizing. These are the things that you have to do. Okay, and hopefully I laid out the plan for you for Small Business Saturday. And then there's another few things. It's think win-win. You want to seek first to understand, not to be understood, or then to be understood. You try to, and again, this goes back to like trying to understand the customer a little bit better. Try to learn about their buying habits first, and then you can come out with your sales pitch or whatever have you. Create synergy, and that's really just about like a teamwork effort with your entire employee staff, your team. All got to be on the same page, and that also is a really long-term thing. You don't want to create a toxic culture. I mentioned at the beginning that I worked for another company that was very toxic in 2006, and thankfully I left and started my own thing. But it took a good 7 or 8 years to really create a good company culture, and we got a team of about 7 or 8 people that have worked with us every year, and there's 3 or 4 that have been with us for like 10 years plus. And then the last one is sharpen the saw, and this really goes back to item 1, which is really purging all of the products in your store that just aren't doing a really good job for you in terms of sales. I remember this one story at the end of the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and I was talking about sharpening the saw. And there's this dude that's just like, walking through the woods, and he comes upon this lumberjack that's using a saw to saw through this huge maple tree or oak tree or whatever the heck the tree was. And he noticed that the blades weren't that sharp, and the guy's trying to like furiously fix it, and just it wasn't working. And he said to him, he's like, why don't you just sharpen the saw? He's like, no, I can't, I'm in such a rush, I have to get this thing done. Sharpen your saw. Get your best product forward. Let's see what other and it's a really great book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and really good stuff. Else? Q&A. Oh, here's a question. What do you consider the most important aspect of customer service? She mentions that, I'll condense this a little bit. I talked about having a team around to help with the product placement, different things related to customer service, having high tech. And at the bottom is like, can you please break this down? It's a lot of information. I'm sorry. I talk a lot. I'm Italian. I'm sorry. I won't be able to say that in 10 years. I would say, I guess, being vulnerable a little bit. you know, and it's a give take. I met Stephen Covey at a conference in the city on October 2nd, 2001. It was right after September 11th. Very somber mood. We met down in New York City in a conference, and he was doing a keynote speech. To be perfectly honest, he wasn't a very good keynote speaker. He was talking with everybody. But what happened was he ended up taking questions and answers. And I asked him to clarify about a particular thing, like you're asking me now. And what he said, he basically, I asked him the question, and he really connected with me. I could tell nobody else in the room mattered except me and him. When he was answering my question and trying to provide an explanation, he really just connected with me, and nobody else in the room mattered. So in terms of customer service, I think a really, really, really important aspect is to make the person that you're working with feel special. Now, the other psychological component to this is an internal thing. It's time. All right. If you got 10 customers in the store, how the hell are you going to be able to connect, soul to soul with each customer? It's tough. All right. One of the things that I mentioned is try to have your other team members kind of like, say, be friendly with the other people in line and say, we'll get to you momentarily, and apologize. It is what it is. You want to keep the person at the level of happy at all times. All right. You do the best you can. If you're really in dire straits and it's just you and your significant other, or just you and one other person, set time limits for each individual that comes through the store. 1 to 3 minutes, okay? That doesn't mean that you completely discard them when you're done, but in that 1 to 3 minute period, you tell them initially, it's like, I'm going to move to, talk with a few other people to let them know everything's okay, fuzzy bunnies, and then I'll come back to you. All right. And then you just do that over and over as a routine. So that'll help you to cover the time element of it. Okay. And you know what? Have your phone on a timer. Do whatever it takes. Use that technology. It's going to help you. All right. Have that phone on a timer. And every 1 to 3 minutes, be like, I'll be right back with you. Now, if you think about this in terms of, if you will, the Fibonacci sequence, all right, it's a mathematical term, things scale out. All right. So the law of diminishing returns, if you're continually helping that person with the unique problem or the thing that they need, eventually they're going to come off, and then you have 9 people to work with, okay? And there's busy times during the day and slow times. So what you do is you work with that first person, second person, it's going to get a little easier. Third person, a little easier. And fourth and fifth and so on and so forth, until you get down to the last customer. Hopefully you've kept that person happy, all right? And you can spend all the time that you need in the world with them, all right? And hopefully you'll have a few laughs. Another good thing that I learned was useful is always have some sort of a refreshment or coffee, maybe a meeting area, all right? People do not want to be standing. I mean, they've been shopping all day, especially on Black Friday, Small Business Saturday. So try to create a comfortable environment for them. And again, this goes back to purge the store of all the crap that's in there. No offense, we had crap in our store. Just get rid of it, because all it's doing is preventing your customer from getting to the cash register where everybody's happy, theoretically. So thank you for that question. What time is it? Okay. Got to hop off soon. I want to thank all of you for being here. I'll answer one more question. And then this is about Rockland Shopping. Somebody asked about Rockland Shopping. So let me just share my screen again. Rockland Shopping is essentially our flagship in holiday season service. We do this through RocklandWeb, which is our core company. We are going to have a variety of products and services on Rockland Shopping throughout the year. And we're going to do it in phases, all right, where you can get your best item on the site, okay, and then be able to have a link that goes directly over to that particular item that a person wants, all right? And what we don't have set up, and we're going to be working furiously on this on Friday, is setting up those new customers on the site. We're not looking to make this like some sort of $1 million thing. We have our own businesses and it's fine. But this will be a really nice service for the people of Rockland that are looking for those items, those specialty items that they may not be able to get via traditional shipping methods from Amazon, or even in the big box stores that maybe haven't brought their stuff in from the LA shipping dock that has been backlogged for the last month and a half. So this is your opportunity. I mean, not just in terms of Small Business Saturday, but if you want that extra bump, contact us. The way that you do, you go to rocklandshopping.com and you just sign up for the service right there. There's a form that you fill out at the bottom of that front page. It's an under construction page at the moment, and then we'll get you started. We'll send you an invoice for $39.95. You pay that online, and then you'll fill out another form with all of your product information. Actually, check that, flipping it around. We set it up this year. That's right. We set it up this year so that the form comes first. You're going to fill out all your information, okay? Then it gets sent off to us, and then an invoice gets sent back for the $39.95. So we'll get the information first. I apologize. I enforce this very, very carefully. We get the information first, all right? And then afterwards, we send the invoice for the $39.95. And in the midst of that, we're going to load up all the information, put it in the directory. And one thing I do recommend on this, and because there are people that are price conscious, try to find products and services that you can offer that are under $50. It seems to be that's the really, the inflection point between $25 and $50 for, customers that not necessarily close family members, but just like friends. Everybody wants to get something for a bunch of people, and the only thing that's really constraining them at the end of that cycle is price. So that's it for now. Listen, thank you, everybody. You never know how many people are going to show up when you come to a webinar like this, and we promoted this heavily, not just through our chambers of commerce. I want to thank the Rockland County Office of Economic Development for putting the word out about this webinar. This will be posted to YouTube after the fact, and we'll be sharing it back out. And I hope that not just Small Business Saturday, I hope that not only Small Business Saturday, but your entire holiday shopping season as a business, as a retailer, is really beneficial for you. Because, as I said, it's very near and dear to my heart. I want generally our business community to work. And if the business community works, I think over the course of time, our communities that sometimes are a bit dependent on assistance in this area, I think if the rising tide of business comes up, it will help to, let's just say, assuage some of the economic issues that we may be having locally, because we got a brand new economy that's coming down the pike, and we need to be ready for it. We can't wait for the different ebbs and flows of macroeconomics to get to us. We have to be ready when those waves come our way. So thanks again for being here. Thanks for putting up with me talking so much. And again, if you have any questions, contact us at rocklandweb.com, or you can call us at 845-877-7333, extension 1 for tech support. Thanks, and see you next time.